This is a video for Chapter 19 that deals with queues and stacks, and I'm going to create a queue. I've already opened the project and put in the header files and blocked out the main program. The only thing new here is that I am including the header file queue because that will allow me to make all the calls to the methods that are already built into the queue class. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create some string variables that I'm going to use in my queue, and I'm going to hard code all of this. So I'm going to call them customer 1, and my first customer is Tom, and then my next customer, which is another string, and that's Dick, and my third customer will be Harry. And then I'll use all the methods from the queue class to actually manipulate my three customers. And it seemed appropriate that I name my queue object lineup because that's how I think of a queue. It is a line. It's like people waiting in line at the bank or at the grocery store. So I am going to define my object. It's a string queue, and I'm going to call it lineup. So there are all my definitions plus my three objects, that my three variables that are going into the queue. So the first thing I'm going to do, and there's no data input here since I've hard coded all of this, but I do want to print some statements to the screen so that you can actually see how all of these different functions work. So I'm going to first print out which customer is entering the line. So the first one is customer 1. Of course, I can add them in any order I want to, but so you can see what we're working with here, we're going to say that customer 1 enters the line. And to actually get him in the line, I need to actually do a push. So after I've printed that prompt, I'm going to call lineup dot, and there's my list, push, to push that customer onto my queue, and he's at the front of the queue. Now it's the same code basically to get the other three on. I'm using the push method, and I do want to print out their names, so I'm just going to copy and paste to save some time here. And I'll do it again and then go back and just edit my customers. So this is customer 2 and this is customer 2. And I forgot to put the argument in here because I do have to tell push what I'm pushing. So customer 1, and again I'm going to copy and paste. And edit 2, and then this one will be customer 3 when I'm finished editing. So that's customer 3, and this is customer 3 that I want to print here. So I've just got a couple of 3 cout statements and 3 calls to the method push to push my customers onto the line. Then I'm going to print out who's at the front of the line. So another cout statement. For the customer at the front of the line. And because this is a function that returns a value, I actually can call front right here in my cout statement because there is a placeholder there to plug in the name of that customer. And then I'm going to say that I'm going to take that customer out of the line. So to show you again on the screen how this is working, I'm going to print out the name of the customer at the front of the line. And to do that, of course I know what it is, but I don't want to use the variable customer because I'm working with a queue. So I'm going to call line up front again to print out who it is. And he is at the front of the line. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to pop him off. The one in front is going to exit the line, not be at the front. We already know he's at the front. And then I will call the pop method to pop the customer off of the queue. So that call is line up my queue object dot pop. Then I can determine how many folks I still have in my queue by using the size call. So let's print that out again. Even though obviously with 3 this is very easy to figure out. So I'll call line up size. Which will return the number of elements that are still in my queue. Then I'm going to exit that. Excuse me, I've already exited that one. So we have the size function. Now what I want to do is to set up a while loop and delete the remaining members of the queue off the queue. So my call here is to the Boolean function, queue function lineup.empty. So as long as lineup.empty is false, I still have elements in the queue. So I want to process through the loop, and I'm going to show how they're being removed. And I'll tell you their names by using front. And then to actually remove them, of course, I need to use pop. So using it inside of the loop in this way, it's just going to loop through until lineup empty is true, which means the list at that time is actually empty. So lineup dot pop, which is just going to take each one from the front of the queue and remove them. So let's build it and see if we get a clean build. No. Forgot the parentheses. It is a function call, so it requires the parentheses. So let's try it again. That should get it. Yes, it is linking. So now I can run it, and you'll see how all of those method calls actually work. My push methods put Tom, Dick, and Harry onto the line where I'm calling each of those. Then the customer at the front of the line uses the front call, and that is Tom. And then I pop Tom off of the queue, so he exits the line. Then I use the size function to determine that there were 2 customers waiting in line, and then I'm into the while loop where I'm popping each additional element off of my queue until it is empty. When lineup empty is true, then that loop stops. So you can see a little bit about how the built-in queue class works.